Hi everybody, Dan Illman here with some exciting news. DRF Formulator, the gold standard in past performance information, is now free exclusively on DRF Bets. Join DRF Bets with the promo code WINNING. Get a $250 first deposit match bonus, a $10 free bet, and free Formulator already uploaded to your account. Access Formulator's premium features, including sortable trainer stats, race replays, personalized trip notes, and lots more. Free Formulator exclusively on DRF Bets. Hi everybody, Dan Illman and Mike Beer, the DRF Race of the Day for Friday, February the 25th, race number 8 at Gulfstream Park. We're going about 7.5 furlongs. That's a two-turn race on the Gulfstream turf course. Older horses, non-winners of one other than is the condition, $25,000 the optional claiming price. Let's take a look at this overflow field, and you can download free Formulator past performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at drf.com. Access them and handicap along with us. And when you've made your final determinations, you can play this race and the entire Gulfstream card on Friday with your DRF Bets account. It really is a wide open group, Mike. And the 9 Mona Stella getting back to turf, she looks like she's got a lot of upside.
Yeah, I think so. She's run pretty well in all 3 of her turf starts so far, Dan, winning the last 2 of those. Listen, I like what I've seen from her so far. I also like that she has a recent race, even though it was on the main track, because I thought there were, several interesting horses in here, but a lot of them are coming off of layoffs in here.
Several of these horses are also stretching out around 2 turns for the first time, and that can have an impact on the pace as we throw up the Timeform US pace projector. The number 11, Abuse of Power, is making her 3rd start of the form cycle, but stretching out from 5 furlongs to 7.5. She has shown speed in the past, and I would expect her to show speed in here.
I don't see why she wouldn't. She's going to be fresh off, a return to turf here, Dan. And she just has a post where I don't think they can really fool around with her too much. They probably got to send from out there. She's got competitive speed figures, but they're all going much shorter than this.
And here's a formulator fact for the number 1 Queen Bourbon. Ian Wilkes does well with last out maiden winners on turf, 31% and a $2.60 ROI with the older runners. But this kind of misses the point of the major handicapping angle with Queen Bourbon, and that's the layoff. We haven't seen this one since May. It's a very long layoff, and you usually don't put away sharp horses unless there's an issue.
Yeah, especially when a horse just won her turf debut at the end of May. There was plenty of turf racing ahead of her. She didn't get to run the rest of the year. All 4 of her starts are pretty good, Dan. I, didn't necessarily love her maiden win the last time we saw her. I mean, she got the job done there, and she showed she can handle turf. But she got a perfect trip in that race. And I just felt like it was more about distance there because the runner-up, who was on the lead the entire way, just did not see out that 9 furlong trip. Queen Bourbon did, and she got the job done.
The number 2, Commander's Palace, returns off a 5.5-month layoff for trainer Mark Cassey. We last saw her over the demanding Kentucky Downs turf course in an allowance race that produced a couple of next now winners. The 4th place horse coming back to win a one other than at Keeneland with an 81 buyer speed figure.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you want to give her a pass maybe for the Kentucky Downs race, I guess that's fine. She also has that Tepin Stakes 3 starts back where I guess you don't have to hold that against her. Against much better horses. In between, she was terrible at Ellis Park contesting the pace, Dan. But I thought her first 2 turf routes, the one at Keeneland and then the one at Churchill where she broke her maiden, I thought she ran well in both of those races, and I'd be willing to give her the benefit of the doubt here.
Really interesting runner is up next, trained by Bill Mott. That's the 3, Amusing Antics, making her 2nd start of the form cycle. So she has some recency over the 2 horses we already discussed. Now, Amusing Antics is going to stretch out around 2 turns for the first time. It looks like she has enough pedigree to get the 7.5. It's just interesting that Mott has been reluctant to stretch her out as of yet. In her first start of this form cycle, they ran her on a synthetic surface. She caught a pair of next now winners, one good one, the runner-up coming back to win a $40,000 starter on the synthetic with an 89 buyer. Her race 2 starts back indicates she handles turf.
Yeah, I did think she ran okay in that race. It's going to be tough to tell, Dan, going forward. I'm very interested to see how she handles turf in this start because in that race, she did get wired by the favorite, but they just sat back, didn't really try to get her involved in the running at all. She got a clean trip, and then she did finish pretty well to get 2nd. So I feel like that was an okay performance. Like you, I saw enough pedigree to think that she could stretch out at least this far. We'll see what kind of price she is, but I thought she was pretty interesting in here.
Another horse going second off the layoff is the number 4, Wow, who did win going a one-turn 7 furlong at Belmont Park 3 starts back. Her first 2 starts against winners, nondescript to say the least. She doesn't have much early speed, and the problem
Yeah.
here is in this big and bulky field, she could be hung up in behind horses.
Yeah, she's going to need a trip in this race, and trips have been pretty hard to come by for her actually throughout her career. This is a horse I'm very familiar with, racing in New York for Mark Hennig, and full disclosure, Dan, I did a lot of chasing of her throughout 2021. I bet her a bunch of times just because she's one of those horses who feels like she has excuses all the time. She finally broke through with just an unbelievably good ride from Jose Lezcano going 7 last October. She can win this race if it sets up for her, and it may set up for her again. There are a bunch of stretch outs in here.
The 5 Rivendell was a debut winner for trainer Bill Mott going 7/8 of a mile at Belmont Park, and it's been 8 races in about almost 2 years since she's won that race. Her last race, I'm willing to give her a major excuse, going 3/4 of a mile at Aqueduct. She just didn't break well from the inside post. She was kind of held up behind the leaders, and she ran on at the end. Her race 2 starts back was a little more promising.
Yeah, I thought she ran okay 2 starts back as well, Dan. She is a horse who at times has trouble getting out of the gate, and that could be a problem for her. But I don't mind them at all stretching her back out in distance. I'm a little bit surprised that they've kept her going shorter throughout most of her career because her first 2 starts, 7 furlongs and then a mile at Saratoga, I thought she ran pretty well in both of those races.
While horses like Wow and Rivendell are a bit exposed, the same cannot be said for the 6, Lilac Girl, going out for trainer Jonathan Thomas. Very lightly raced, and we have a formulator fact for the high percentage Thomas Barn. Past several years, moving from synthetic to turf, 33% winners, a $3.65 ROI. This filly ran well without winning in her 2 starts on turf in New York, and she broke through last time out over the poly track at Turfway Park, beating a horse that came back to win over that surface with a 79 buyer.
Yeah, she did run pretty well in her first 2 starts on turf. That being said, I felt like she ran well without any excuses either time. I thought she got really good trips in those races and just wasn't quite good enough at the end. She ran fine, didn't necessarily do anything that would make me want to take a short price on her. And here, if she does indeed get bet, and I suppose that's possible. But as you mentioned, she's got a lot of upside and there's some pedigree as well. So I won't be surprised if she runs well. I would just wait and see what kind of price she is.
The number 7, 3 Tipsy Chicks, is going to try turf for the first time as she returns off an 8-month layoff for Ian Wilkes. Medaglia d'Oro, 11% with first-time turf runners. I look at this pedigree, Mike, though. I just see all dirt.
Yeah, the dam was a really, really good dirt horse. The second dam was a stakes winner on the grass, though. She won 3 times on turf, and she was a stakes winner there. So maybe there's a little turf there. She's just going to have to be a lot better, I feel like, Dan, as a turf horse than she is as a dirt horse. I really liked this horse early on. I thought she had a lot of potential. I feel like, and I'm not positive, I feel like I bet her in the Forward Gal at almost 10-1 last year, and she was terrible that day in a really bad race, and she hasn't been good on dirt since then.
Secret Time, the number 8, was group placed in France when she started her career, and she came over to North America with some high hopes. She was actually stakes placed for Arnaud de la Cour at Gulfstream West in 2020. She's returning off of a lengthy layoff now for trainer Danny Gargan. And check out those formulator past performances, folks. Gargan does very well with horses coming off 6-month layoffs. This horse ran okay 2 starts back at Saratoga, Mike. I thought all in all it was a good trip. She was pressing a 1,000,000-to-1 shot on the outside, made the lead turning into the stretch, and held on gamely for a third. I'm guessing something must have happened to her last time because she seemed to be moving well on the turn and then just stopped. It was a race that produced 3 next out winners.
Yeah, it did seem like something happened there. She did get wired in that race as well. I'm with you. I thought she ran well at Saratoga 2 starts back off that little bit of a left. That was a good field. And she finished a good third. She's, it's pretty obvious, Dan, just sort of going through her races in North America that she got here. She's a major, major contender in this race. It is Irad and Gargan, though, with, plenty of figures and some stakes races on her card as well. So I was sort of expecting her to take money in here. Not that, in some ways she isn't the horse to beat.
Monastella, the number 9, has won both turf tries around 2 turns, and then she returned off of a lengthy layoff. Last time out at Gulfstream, she ran on the dirt. I just don't think that's her surface. Let's see how she handled turf 2 starts back. This is way back on April the 4th, 2021, going this 7.5 furlong distance, and Monastella sat off the pace, sprinted on home. It was a nice performance with a 79 buyer, Mike. She's got potential.
Yeah, she got a perfect trip when she won that race 2 starts back. I really liked the ride that she got there, though, Dan, because she's a horse who has speed, and they could have went to the lead with her there, but they just took a hold of her, dropped her over behind the leaders, and when she came clear in the stretch, she had a really good finish that day. A lot of upside here. I think she's a major player in this race, getting back to turf.
Yet another horse coming off the layoff is the 10, Love in the Air. We haven't seen this horse since July the 1st when she broke her maiden in an off-turf race at Ellis Park. She went through the auction ring after that race, selling for $130,000, and now she's trying turf again for John Service. She had trouble against a good field, two back on turf.
Yeah, I thought so too. I'm interested in her getting back on the grass here, Dan, even though she broke her maiden on the main track last time. And that was interesting because that was off of a layoff and then another layoff after that. So just kind of feels like things weren't going that well for her last year as a 3-year-old. Like you, I thought she ran really well on turf 2 starts back. Didn't get a great trip against a good horse in Gam's Mission. And I thought she was a good third. I actually liked her turf debut as well. Another race where she just sort of got caught behind horses and the winner got the jump on her. And the other thing about that I like about her, Dan, is it feels like she has plenty of speed, and they didn't use it either time on turf at the fairgrounds. They could have gone forward with her in either of those races, but they just took a hold and took her back. I wonder if they get more aggressive here off the layoff.
That Gam's Mission was a pretty good horse last year. Came back from the race where she beat Love in the Air to win 2 in a row, including the Grade 3 Regret with an 85 buyer. Abuse of Power, the expected pace setter, stretching out from 5 to 7.5. You want to talk about miler pedigree? You got a couple of nice Breeders' Cup mile horses in there, Caracanti, Cozine.
Yeah, I mean, and she's got, as we said in the open, she's got the figures to be a major contender in here if she can stretch it out and then just work out some kind of a trip from the outside post.
12 is Maybe Later, another horse coming off a little bit of a layoff, 2.5 months or so. This one sold for $75,000 in January and is going to a pretty shrewd trainer in Fernando Abreu. Last time out over the synthetic surface, she did finish ahead of a next out winner, albeit a horse that won on dirt with a 75 buyer.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what she does coming back to turf. I feel like coming back to turf is probably a good idea for her, Dan. We'll see. The race at Churchill, the second turf start, going the mile, she didn't run poorly at all that day in a race that was one wire to wire. She made up a lot of ground in that race. So we'll see what happens coming back to the turf. It feels like she's going to be a big price in here.
Several horses on the also eligible list, horses like the 14 Magna Mater, the 16 Caroline Story, especially the 15 Star Seeking. They would deserve consideration if able to break into the body of this race. But we'll take a look at our top selections. And Mike, again, a wide open race. I like Gargan off the layoff. I am concerned, as you mentioned, that they may bet this horse Secret Time, the number 8, but she's going to be my top pick.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a lot of ways she's the horse to beat, Dan. You know, one of several coming off of layoffs here. My horse is off of a layoff too, Love in the Air. Again, I like what I saw from her from limited turf starts as a younger horse, and I'm just hoping they get aggressive with her in this race.
Mike's going with the 10, 2, 3, and 8. I'm going to take Secret Time, the 8, the German bred trained by Danny Gargan, and the DRF Race of the Day. Good luck.